Hi guys, it's day 4 and I'm excited to share what I learned today. So today I learned about mental models, and once again these ideas are not mine. I'm learning this from the Great Mental Models Volume 1. It's a book written by Farnam Street, or I'll say compiled by Farnam Street. It's amazing, you should check it out. Mental models, what are they? I'll say that it's like a toolbox Was that clear? I'll say like mental models are really just like different approaches to which we can look at the world in simple terms. I must say, this has really shown me the importance of articulation, like the art of saying more in less. I know, I feel like I should shut up there. Let me tell you what Charlie Munger said. Charlie Munger is like one of the richest men in the world. He said, and I quote, "I believe in the discipline of mastering the best of what others have figured out." End of quote. I think that's really amazing, you know, because in life, it's the person with the fewest blind spots that wins, right? And what does it mean to have a blind spot? A blind spot is just something that prevents you from seeing reality the way it is, right? And so removing blind spot essentially means that you are eliminating, or let's say you're just interacting with reality better. When you remove blind spots, you are able to interact with reality better, you know, and think better, you know. And thinking better really is about finding simpler processes that can help you have more ways to address a problem, so you can choose the one that fits best with the problem you're trying to solve. Let me take that again articulately. So thinking better involves having different approaches towards the problem so that you can pick the one that best fits whatever situation you find yourself in. That's how to think better. That's how to be wise, right? Not just having a single approach to every problem. Yes. In where I come from, they say there are different ways to the market, right? So there are different ways to solving whatever problem we're faced with. So choosing the best one based on a broad understanding of life and reality is what this mental models really helps us do. So I would say there are 3 things that actually stand in our way when we're trying to solve problems. The first is that we are usually having a wrong perspective. And what this means is that when we are in the system, or when we are within the problem to be solved, and we're not able to detach ourselves and look at it from an external point of view or from a broader perspective, it's very easy to miss what is right in front of us. Like you can't see the problem you're not looking for, right? And the book, The Great Mental Models, gave this illustration that was accredited to Galileo. Now, Galileo was a famous scientist who wanted to explain how people sometimes have a very limited perspective of their problem. And so imagine you are on a ship that is moving with constant speed and in the same direction, and you're several decks below, and you have a ball in your hand. Now, if you drop that ball, it will feel like the ball only fell vertically under the influence of gravity, of course. That's how it looks like to you. But now imagine as well that there's like some fish outside the ship in the water that had X-ray vision and could see through the walls of the ship. Now, if that fish saw that exact scenario where you dropped the ball, for the fish, it won't just be that the ball fell vertically, it will also have moved horizontally because the ship is moving at a constant speed. So the ball fell both vertically and horizontally. Now, to the person holding the ball, it felt like it just fell vertically, and so that just shows how being in the situation that we're trying, in the situation or the particular circumstance, affects our perspective of that circumstance. Yes. The second thing is usually having an ego-driven denial, and what this really means is like many times when we're doing stuff, we don't want to put it out there because we don't want people to criticize us. And so when people don't criticize us, we remain right? We remain right? But we remain right, and so that way we are never wrong, technically. Second thing is that even when people now criticize us, many of us will try to defend what we did, and so like instead of taking the criticism, we're trying to defend our actions and still look good. You know what I mean? So that is another thing that really stands in our way when we are trying to address problems. The first one is perspective. Being in this situation sometimes prevents us from seeing the entirety of the situation. The second one is an ego-driven denial, and so because we're trying to protect our ego, I think it's pronounced ego, not ego. That's good stuff. So because we're trying to protect our ego, then we will usually not take criticism even when it's constructive. And then the very third thing that affects how we communicate with the world is the third thing that really affects how we interact with reality is the distance between us and the results of an action or the results of a decision. So the further away you are from the consequences of whatever decision you've made, the less able you are to connect with the reality of that situation. So let me give you an illustration that the book gave. So for example, if you put your hand on a hot plate, right, that immediate feedback lets you know that, okay, this is not something to do again, right? And not just for that situation, it also teaches you that anything that resembles this hot plate or electric stove or anything that might have the possibility of being hot is not something you want to put your hand on anymore, right? So instead of having a very micro, like case-specific reaction to that, you can also take a very macro view and like anything that looks like this or anything that has the potential to be hot like this, I'll not put my hands on it anymore. So that's the idea that the book is trying to communicate. So that the first one is that many times because we are in the situation or because we're in the circumstance, we don't have a holistic view of that circumstance. The second one is an ego-driven denial. The fact that many times we are trying to protect ourselves from the criticism of others, even when it is constructive. And the third is the distance between our actions and the consequences of those actions, right? I'm really excited and pumped about this mental models book. I can't wait to read more. So join me tomorrow and I will share what I learned in the book with you. See you tomorrow.